So now we're starting to get in movement. We're starting to displace forward and we're starting to get some limb action going. So now we need to look at leg exchange and leg pattern exchange. Now, remember, always remember, these exercises, whilst they do possess a high level of skill transfer, you know, they do fulfill a lot of dynamic correspondence. They are specialized preparatory exercises in nature, okay? So with that being said, ensure that you are spending enough time working through the exercises. So now we're starting to build in these exchange patterns. And whenever we see exchanges, what we need to be able to determine and understand is that whenever there's ground contact made, the body needs to stop moving. There needs to be stiffness. And an easy coaching point when we're exchanging from here to here, that when that foot hits the ground, the thigh needs to be where it is. When the leg exchanges, the thigh needs to be where it is and it needs to have stopped moving. All right, we don't want to see any excessive carryover of momentum. So we work our fundamental exchanges, and hopefully by digesting the content as where it is now, you can see there is a theme. There are levels, there are layers, okay? So for example, your initial sessions using your learn, load and execute, your level 1 athletes, your learn to sprint guys, your low level conjugate sequencing, you're going to start everything from bilateral because it's all about coercion, and we're constantly nurturing that athlete. So you can go from all the bilateral, maybe they've got that knee deficit, bilateral knee segment, working through, load them up in the way that you want, using these exchange patterns from a bilateral point of view, finish off with some sled drags or something like that. That's going to help nurture the conversation and coerce the body to be like, to have a sensory experience where they're creating familiarity, and that moves into skill acquisition and for a very different conversation. But here we are in our bilateral. What I'm going to do, I'm going to push to 1 and just exchange my legs. Drop down, bilateral, push to 1, exchange my legs. Okay, and it's about the rapid scissoring of movement. Tom Tellez first, coined that term, the scissor motion of the legs in sprinting. And that's what we want to achieve. And from there, we just adopt the stagger, because remember, we're building an athlete to be able to, learn to go from everything in front, okay, to then have our 2-point stance where lots of stuff happens. We've got rugby here, football, we're kind of jockeying off, working, all those sorts of things. And let's not forget that receiver stance in American football. So lots to work on. Now we go into our stagger, and I'm loading. I'm here. I'm ready to go. My hips are further forward because this leg is back. So I'm here and I'll pop and exchange. Okay, and then it puts me back into that position. Pop, exchange. Okay, and we just get that change moving. It's really, really simple. Then we go to the unilateral. So remember, the unilateral places a lot more emphasis on the front leg to push harder. It creates a higher degree of ground reaction force, okay? Therefore, working impulse. Okay, let that sink in. It's a very heavy impulse-driven movement because it's tougher, right? So here, we're going to load up there and push and change. Push and change. And that's what you're probably familiar with, a very familiar exercise starting from a unilateral load and smash. I know you would have seen it in the first manual, but there's more to play with it, and there's more pieces to the puzzle.